Hey folks, MasakoX here. I would like to point you all to my newly refreshed Patreon at patreon.com/MasakoX, just to make sure the channel can keep on chugging along. Thank you very much for your time, and let's get on to the story. Oh, Chris Sabat, you big tease you. For those of you who didn't know, a while ago during Puerto Rico Comic Con, the voice behind both Vegeta and Piccolo, and many more, gave us his interpretation of the Ultra Ego line. You know the one. The one from the manga where he goes, Kakarot's body may have a mind of its own, but me, I'm all ego. That one. Obviously, that does not confirm or deny anything, although there have been rumours knocking around that despite the whole infighting that we have covered many times on this channel between Toei and the remains of Toriyama's estate, something might have moved within the animated continuation of Dragon Ball Super and its manga. So with DAIMA being long over and started to be forgotten about, we can finally talk about some things we would like to see in a potential adaptation of the manga arcs and what they could potentially change within the entire Dragon Ball Super franchise. We did a similar exercise a while ago, and while we try not to repeat ourselves, as some time has passed and with additional context of the latest animated series, we may have expanded our wish list. Speaking of, let's start with the first thing we'd like. Now, whilst Dragon Ball Super and DAIMA may or may not be the same timeline, we are convinced that the lore still stands for both. As for Moro, I mean, just look at the guy. Not only does he have pointy ears, but he looks like Baphomet, a literal devil, and also has powerful magical abilities, which would fit with an inhabitant of the demon realm. Maybe he's one of the first margins to leave Universe Zero, and with time has gotten some taste for planets. It is quite interesting to think that they were demon-made. Maybe you could indicate that he used to be some sort of destroyer god prototype, but went mad with power and got cut off. We don't need to discover all of the story, no, it's Dragon Ball. After all, he kind of works as being the mysterious force as he is, but it would be just so easy to connect those two threads and series through this one character. Once again, Moro is probably Toyotaro's best creation in terms of villains, and knowing him, he would absolutely love to make that connection, because it was one of his things. We don't know how much he was aware of the exact role that the Demon Realm had, and if Toriyama figured that out at the time of Moro's conception as a character, but that is pretty much an easy win. One of the strengths of the anime is that you can really focus on characters more and give them filler that adds interactions with other characters and the world that enriches them. And speaking of that, for number 2, yes, I'm pretty sure that many of you are going to be liking that little chestnut. I think one of the less appreciated elements of both the Moro saga and the Granola saga is the mental journey of Vegeta. Yes, at this point of the story, he is already established as a good guy, but during his interactions with the Namekians and Granola, he, for the first time, displays full-on regret for his past actions. Now at this point, this isn't about him growing attached to his new family or his friends. It's more to do with understanding of the atrocities that he committed back on Namek especially. He's also able to empathize with Granola and in a weird way, get through to the guy, helping out. He was there, where he once was, and even attempted to give the Cerulean some sort of closure. I do think if the anime would give him his Yardratian training more time, that could expand his personality even further. Remember all of that and how he loved it? Vegeta is the kind of person that would never open up to Goku, it's a matter of pride. But I think he would open up to somebody. A lot of this stuff could be discussed with Pibara, as Super Era Vegeta can be really respectful toward his mentors and elderly figures. Not only would that accent his development even further, but it would also add a layer to his role in the series. Those things, those traumas, both his and the ones that he caused, are much more interesting than the usual, oh, Vegeta is cocky and loony thing. It really shows how far he's come and how much progress he's still got left to do. That he's relatable because he struggles, yeah? And I think that's valid. Speaking of struggle, we do struggle to understand why this particular plot point for number 3 had to be reused. Yeah. Oh, I still remember that, and that was painful. But please, hear us out. We hated it. And most of you hated it when it happened, and whenever I hate something, you know it's bad. It's kind of dumb, and feels like a totally unnecessary reference to the Cell Saga, which is just meant to complicate things and be there for some misguided sense of fan service, but no, all it did was piss people off, including us. And in a perfect world, this would have been removed from the story, but we are not living in a perfect world. And yeah, the previous Super arc differed drastically, but the thing is, they were created out of some sort of cryptic note or two, and were made almost separate. Right now, you have a story that you have to adapt, and I'm afraid to say, the Senzu thing is something that just happens. And I feel that they will not remove it if we do get an animated adaptation. But maybe they can make it have more sense, that we can explain it. First thing they can do is to make Moro intercept a Senzu that was not meant for him. That would be the easiest way out of this mess, that it was an accident. Maybe cause some sort of additional danger for Krillin, who would try to deliver the pouch for Goku. This would make for slightly better storytelling, but it would also reinforce Moro as a cunning opponent, because you're thinking, hey, you can't take that, he's not meant to have that. Make someone, Krillin feels like the best choice, confront Goku about his stupid decision if they choose not to do that. Characters can make mistakes, right? But you kind of have to acknowledge the consequences, and characters just saying, yeah, sure, to every stupid decision made by the protagonist just makes it feel jarring. We want Goku to feel bad. Luckily though, Daima Goku felt more balanced than Super one. And if they keep this up in the future installments and Goku remains this, on the level, I do think we're on a good path here. That Goku might be redeemed in some way from a writer's point of view. And number 4, we're not going to lie here, haven't I? But we really enjoyed the beginning of that arc in the manga by learning who Granola is, what makes him tick, and later on, how would Planet Cereal look? You can make a lot with that. Give us some insight into his supposed father, Flake. Show us his relationship with his mother, Muesli. Or give us some more cerulean everyday life before the Shigarians took over. You can also demonstrate their kinship with the Namekians. You also have another chance of adding certain cheeky Daima references here or there. That kind of fluff is always welcome, and what we already had in the manga was already quite compelling. But we wouldn't be against seeing just that little bit more. Seeing how rich and interesting the third demon world can be, and has proven to be. We actually really liked it. It was so immersive. I can imagine a lot of interesting stuff that can come out of the Planet Cereal section alone. Now, number 5. Whilst it didn't end with a world-exploding event, I still liked how quiet and personal Vegeta's journey on the path toward destruction began. It wasn't grand or final. Beerus just established the pecking order. At the same time, though, he surely saw enough potential in the prince to share some of his knowledge with him. Just begin that train of thought. And I think the anime can expand that duel as to remind us that while the cat has become more chummy with the dragon team and can often be a little bit silly, downright kooky, he's still a stone-cold cleaner of the universe who was responsible for the destruction of countless lives. And even though this might have been for a higher purpose, a greater good, we still shouldn't forget that. Also, there are still many steps for our heroes to reach his level. We've still got some mountains to climb. Now, number 6. The animated series would probably be slightly toned down from the manga due to standards and practices and when Dragon Ball is aired these days. I can't imagine stuff would get so bloody. But I still believe that you can make zombie gas and him turning into a pile of bones work in the animation that little bit. I think it's an important scene to establish the future pecking order in Universe 7, especially with Black Frieza knocking around. And also teach the lesson about pursuing absolute power with no regards to your health and well-being, self-care and all that. I think softening that up too much would ultimately undermine Gas's role in the story, and he would become a generic tragic character. I do think that if anyone other than Frieza would beat him, he could have been redeemable. And I do think that the anime could really showcase the argument of him being used by Elec, making his story that little bit more sad, that little bit more tragic. Now, speaking of stories that end badly, seriously, he has no ending! He's gonna die soon! In fact, as superhero, He's probably already dead. His name is in the title. He even gets some chapters almost exclusively dedicated to him. And then he just goes away, hardly reacts to what's happening. Black Frieza, Gas's death. We don't even know if he is still alive around Superhero. That's why I jest. We like this character. We'd like to see more from him. And to see if our heroes manage to revert the wish somehow so he could live a normal life. Just give us something, Civilians are meant to live 200 years. As awesome as the whole Black Frieza reveal was, and we want to see more, we would really love it if the protag of the chapter that we've been following for a while wasn't taken out of his own story. Give him a Monito something good, something hopeful, Also, that would be another excuse to see Torombo, who has an absolutely awesome design, by the way. Justice for Granola, I say. Now, number 8. I like that character, set of characters. I know that may sound weird. How can one exist without the other? But honestly, they tried with the movie retellings in the manga, and they always pale in comparison to the movies. It's just a common fact. The only way that this could work was if Tooper would get attention and budget proportionate to what we got with Daima, which is not going to happen because we expect it to be a longer series and a lot more pressure, hopefully not down to the depths of Super in 2015. Adventures of Goten and Trunks, that can easily be expanded, and this is something that we'd like to see. You can add the latest one-shot to it, which would definitely make it feel longer, as well as the epilogue, which was kind of great and emotional, and probably one of the best things that Toyo Taro has ever done when putting pen to paper. Now, how would you do that without the superhero retelling? Well, you could just summarize it, really. The manga didn't really tackle the Broly movie and only showed one image just to kind of get the idea, but you got the idea. In animated media, one scene wouldn't do, but you can literally animate just select scenes and make someone, Krillin, Pan, 18, either Trunks or Goten or whatever, tell the story of superhero rather than just doing it all over again. You wouldn't have to waste your time and resources and money to tell the story that has already been told in the animated version not so long ago. Now, number 9, because you know exactly what we're saying here. Justice for Krill Dog. We don't really think that Toyo Taro hates Krillin or anything, but unlike the anime staff, I think he mostly sees him as a part-time comic relief gag character, which doesn't really do much justice to the character itself. We not only have this whole 18 thinking that Krillin is cheating on her thing, which felt really off character for both of us. We really didn't like that. But also the car chase, which has shown him to be extremely incompetent, even though he is the strongest natural human in existence. Because Toyo Taro, my dude, Krillin's able to get a hit on Cell Max, to do some actual damage on that beast. Don't you think he could deal with a car? Having him fail the chase was really dumb. Why not just have him here like in the original movie? Like, we don't think about this at all, but Dragon Ball Super Krillin could take on Frieza Saga Frieza. He is powerful, and making him a butt of a joke, it just really doesn't work. And, they did Lazuli dirty here. Now, number 10, come on, all of us agree, that was beautiful. While that wouldn't be the end of the story, we now recognize this symbolic gesture of the Namekian as the author bidding his final farewell to us. And I think this moment should be retained in the animated version as well, and make it really significant. I'm still emotional whenever I see that final page, honestly. It's happy, hopeful, sad, poetic at the same time, while being really, really simple. If Super continues into the animated version, this single scene is the core of it, and we would really love it if it got retained as was. No changes. So that's it. 10 things that we've come up with. A lot of these points either come from the time long ago and we've had further reflection on the matter, or we've got added context of the stuff that we got from the Granola saga and after that. Will this ever get animated? We don't know, but we really hope so. It has to, because Super has become the zeitgeist for so many young fans. And I'm quite sure that both the actors and some fans are really anxious to make this happen. I know that some of you are not particular fans of Toyo Taro's storytelling, but a good adaptation could really improve upon the original and open it up to more accessible and more casual fans. And hey, if we get a good animation on top of that, That can be something good, because we saw it with Daima. Come on. Some of us would really like to know the story of the hyperbolic time chamber that Frieza managed to find in order to become Black Frieza, because 10 years of training in there is a lot. And more importantly, if he trained alone or not. But that's all from us. If you've got your own ideas, make sure to leave them in the comments. Meanwhile, thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!